The Obamas are getting nervous about 2024. This is a story that came out in the Washington Post. Obama, worried about Trump, urges Biden circle to bolster campaign. Former President Barack Obama has raised questions about the structure of President Biden's re-election campaign, discussing the matter directly with Biden and telling the president's aides and allies the campaign needs to be empowered to make decisions without clearing them with the White House, according to three people familiar with the conversation. So he's basically saying you need to take a back seat and get some adults in here who know how to run a campaign. Obama grew animated in discussing the 2024 election and former President Donald Trump's potential return to power. So yeah, he's basically saying, listen, you need to get some pros in here. Listen, Joe, if there's one thing I've always thought about you, it's that you're dumb. That's part of why I picked you in the first place. And so you need to get some grown men in here who know how to run the campaign, like mine. He actually floated one of his advisors there as well. He has suggested to Biden's advisors that the campaign needs more top-level decision makers at the headquarters in Wilmington, Delaware, or it must empower the people already in place. Obama has not recommended specific individuals, but he has mentioned David Plouffe, who managed Obama's 2008 race, as the type of senior strategist needed at the Biden campaign. Obama's conversation with Biden on the subject took place during a private lunch at the White House in recent months, one of the people said, a meeting that has not yet been previously reported. Biden, who has long used Obama as a sounding board, invited his former boss to lunch, and the two discussed a range of topics, including the 2024 election. During the lunch, Obama noted the success of his re-election campaign, meaning Obama's, in 2012, when some of his top presidential aides, including David Axelrod and Jim Messina, left the White House to take charge of the re-election operation in Chicago. That is a sharp contrast from Biden's approach of leaving his closest aides at the White House, even though they are involved in all the key decisions made by the campaign. So the reason why Obama could delegate and Biden can't is because Biden can't be president because Biden's brain doesn't work anymore. See, it's a lot easier to delegate, to let your top staff go and work on the campaign while you run the country if you are capable mentally of running the country. The problem here is that Joe Biden is clearly not. Obama also recommended that Biden seek counsel from Obama's own former campaign aides, which Biden officials say they have done, the people said. Obama has been even more explicit with people close to Biden, suggesting the campaign needs to move aggressively as Trump appears poised to quickly wrap up the Republican nomination. His concerns about the campaign structure were not tied to a specific moment, but rather his belief that campaigns need to be agile in competitive races, the people said, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss confidential conversations. So, that's Barack Obama. Here's Michelle Obama on a recent podcast articulating her fears. She's terrified of a Trump victory.
Where are we in this? Where are our hearts? What's going to happen in this next election? I am terrified about what could possibly happen because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted.
I mean, that's just unbelievable. I'm going to play this one more time, the last few seconds.
Because our leaders matter. Who we select, who speaks for us, who holds that bully pulpit. It affects us in ways that sometimes I think people take for granted.
No, people don't take that for granted. People just don't pay much attention to how people speak for them or who holds the bully pulpit. Because what do we say all the time? The politics of liberalism is a politics of manners. It's a politics of politeness. Right. It's very important to Michelle Obama, who owns a 12-bedroom mansion on Martha's Vineyard, who represents her. You can't have an uncouth man like Donald Trump representing you if you're Michelle Obama.
We can't have migrants here. We don't have the room.
We don't have the room.
We don't have the capacity here to take care of these people. We got to send them to an army base. That's obvious. That's humane.
Exactly.
Give them a juice box. Send them on their way.
And so for Michelle Obama, who represents you, who speaks for you, is this matter of tremendous import. It carries tremendous weight. The average person doesn't give a shit who speaks for them. The average person only cares about what's happening, what's actually happening in the world around them. And so she's terrified that what? We'll have a rude president? That's what you're terrified about? Look at the world around you right now. Look at what's happening in the world right now since Donald Trump handed the baton to Joe Biden. We've got World Wars III and IV brewing. We got a world war on the China front, on the Iran front, on the Eastern European front. I mean, on North Korea.
Those are rogue
it has just been so unbelievably disastrous.
Keaton.
What's that?
They're rogue states, Keaton.
Yeah, we've provoked the rogue states. We can't even control the rogue states anymore under Joe Biden.
Joe Biden doesn't coddle dictators.
That's right. That's right. We need more coddlers. We need to bring coddlers back to the White House. Give me a coddler. Just quite unbelievable. Just unbelievable. She's terrified that we'll have a rude person representing us. She's really, really scared about that. Really high stakes. Really high stakes. I'm sure the average person really identifies with that.
Well, that's the thing. When you talk to people, and there are such people, I think a lot of our audience have people like that in their families. We often hear your tales of woe, especially around the holidays. There is an audience for this. There is an audience that will, after hearing Michelle say that, talk about it as if it's something to take seriously or at face value. Yeah, did you see Michelle? No, I mean, look, I don't like Joe Biden, but hey, you know, we can't have Trump because that's the end. You know, that's the end of democracy. There are people who buy this, and those people are one of two things, sometimes a combination of both. Very economically secure, and very often they are lonely enough that the voices of corporate media are the only ones keeping them company, and a lot of those people are elderly. Those are the only people I find who actually believe this. And particularly with the latter, they vote disproportionately. There are a lot more of them relative to their numbers voting than all the rest of us. If everybody voted in those numbers, they couldn't get elected dog catcher in Peoria. These people, right. The Obamas, none of them could. If you had the system you have in Australia, then that's why they'll never do that here. You get fined if you don't vote in Australia. It's the law. You have to vote. If you had the whole body, and I think that results in like an 80% vote. It's still not 100%. It's about 80. Can you imagine who would get elected if 80% of the American public voted? None of these people. Our entire political class would be wiped out overnight if most people voted. This language is for those people on the margins who actually vote. They're freaks, but they have a disproportionate effect on our politics because part of their freakishness is they actually take this stuff seriously and vote accordingly.
Please clap.